Yeah, so we're sitting a couple hundred feet underground right now in what was the old foreman's office. It's fun and interesting to think that this, area that we're sitting in now that was the foreman's office at some point in the early 1900s was a result of them taking limestone when U.S. Steel opened this mine in the early 1900s.
September 11th, 1972 was the first paycheck I got here. When I first remembered the place, as far as stuff I've read, U.S. Steel bought this in 1909, and they worked it for 57 years. Then they closed it, and then started mining, and then storage developed, and just went from one thing to another. In 1909, when U.S. Steel, they leased a little bit of property off of a man, the last name man was Dewey, and which they started, and they didn't have anything but steam back then in 1909. And what they done was they run steam power to do their operation, and they had tripod drills that they went in and drilled the stone, and they used ammonium nitrate and sticks of dynamite to blow out the stone. Well, in 1934, 30 or 34, West Penn Power put power in here, and also when they put the power in, they run generators to run DC power to run their locomotives, which hauled them out in cars then. Then they powered their shovels, their loaders inside with electric. But it was 1940-some, they acquired their first diesel loader that loaded up the cars.
One of the crazy things that I think about frequently when I'm wandering down here in the mine is thinking about U.S. Steel in the early 1900s wanting to gain access to the limestone here because of the high calcium carbonate. And they wanted it, they needed it for the production that made Pittsburgh what Pittsburgh is. And as you travel through these miles and miles upon miles of roadways underground where they extracted this limestone for their steelmaking process, is the amount of time, the amount of energy, the amount of manpower that went into this, the decades upon decades of investment to extract this stone for their purposes. U.S. Steel had a major part in making Pittsburgh what it is, and this is a remnant that is still here as a result of their decades of investment and hard work that still has the ability to be a really interesting and unique asset for this region.
U.S. Steel, there was on up the road further, there was a road across 268 or 68, which they hauled out stone into a big crusher, and which then put it into railroad cars and hauled it to the steel mills. And as the cars come out of the mines, they went over there and dumped and made a U-turn and come back in on another track, then just continuous that every day.
And they continued to take limestone for decade after decade after decade, and mining finally finished in 2017. So you think about that, from the early 1900s till 2017, there was limestone being mined. So it's amazing to think that, from the early 1900s to the year 2017, they were mining, and the result of that is over 2,000 acres of limestone was taken from this area, and that you can drive, hundreds of miles of roadway, and you can go, miles deep into this mine.
I think the community thinks it was a great thing when the stone operation was here, but when it closed, it was sad. And the rec side, there was a place in Brady, it was called the rec side. They also contributed by having this place here, and Damon's Industry and other locations. It was a big letdown when the stone had closed up. What U.S. Steel left years back, we are trying to develop into storage areas. And it takes a lot. It involves scaling, cleaning up, painting, and, climatizing places that U.S. Steel had left. And, we try to find the best rooms possible and the closest rooms, to continue this.
The first time in my career that I've been able to work and live in my area and know the local people and know the local history and share this with people that come from Pittsburgh area, come from Ohio, come from Virginia, and share the history of the area and share the history of Brady's Bend and the surrounding area. It's cool to be able to share our little diamond in the rough with people.
Aside from being really taken by the beauty in Brady's Bend, one of the cool things about working in a business that has such history is we took over these old photographs and there are these old pictures from training sessions that they had where even some of the current employees of Brady's Bend Underground can look through there and see relatives from the past that worked in the mine. So to think that there's generations that have worked in the mine, but also generations who have stored units with us underground is a really interesting thing to think about.
There's a lot of history. There's a lot of employees that have had family that have worked here generation after generation. There's been 3 generations of miners that have worked here in the same family, and it's important that they like to share this. They take pride in their work, they take pride in the facility, and they take pride in the area and how it's grown.